So, the one thing that strikes me with this game, Don, is you haven't seen them since December. And in those two games, you gave up 94 shots on goal. And you got 3 points out of it. You're a different team now. I mean, what is the emphasis on cutting down their opportunities and their shots in this game tonight?
Well, this team is explosive. Obviously, you look at their three-line depth with Jeff Carter being a third-line center is kind of hard to imagine. But you've got Malkin, Crosby, Russ that's a worker, Gensel that's a scorer. I mean, it's just they move the puck fast. They transition fast. They're aggressive defensively, aggressive offensively. So, this is a team that can overwhelm you, as you just mentioned, the amount of shots. They had a heck of a game last night that they controlled, dictated the pace and controlled the game. So it's just another challenge for us. We do feel we're better than last time, but we also know they're better than last time too. I mean, it's obvious they've gotten better, they've gotten healthier, and Crosby's more back to form. Malkin's back in, and he looks like he's to form, to his form, and it should be a heck of a challenge for us. It will be, I'm sure, and we have to. It's exciting. Like I said to you guys yesterday, I'm so happy that we're playing top teams. Their record on the road, 21-7. We're well aware of that, and it's exciting to play these teams because it's you find out a little bit of where you're at. You find out a lot of how far you need to come and go, and you don't. That's usually not the case when you're playing, lesser teams. So for us, it's what we need.
Don, you've spoken to us about Samuelson and how you feel how well he's played. How much does a game? Because you've also told us how good he is at learning. How you tell him something and he picks it up. He's got it. How much does a game like against McDavid, with the game maybe he had that night, help him now as he goes into a game against Malkin and Crosby? Now that he's faced a star player like that.
Yeah, it helps. That's part of, I say, and I use the term calibrate. You call up guys that are, amazing athletes like Mattias. You can tell them what you want to as a coach, but how do you tell them how good Patrick Kane is or how good Sidney Crosby is, or you said McDavid? You can tell them all you want. They have to experience it. Quickness, intelligence, speed, strength, vision, and each player is a little bit different. So Malkin is different than McDavid, but they're elite star players. And, so I think Mattias is to a point where he's developed enough of his hockey skill, his positional knowledge, and his athleticism that now it's about calibrating. And as I felt with Dahls, and we talked about, that was a big part with me and with Dahls. He has all the talent necessary. He's building a foundation. Get these guys into situations where they can gain experience. And if I hide them from those players, they never get that experience. They're going to get it at some point. Why not get it now? And the sooner the better for me, as long as they had that base under them. So Mike asked, and I didn't mention Samuelson, but it was in my head. What's different with our team from December when we played them? And Mattias Samuelsson is one big difference. I mean, he has taken a lot of pressure off of our defense because he's been so effective. He can be a number one penalty killer. We can throw him over the boards first. He covers a lot of shot to be blocked. He covers a range of pucks to near his quadrant. So he is a big difference in how our team has played. He's been a stabilizer, killing plays quicker, transitioning plays quicker, and he's a big part of why we've been able to be better and better as we've moved along through the season.
You get the chance at home to match a little bit, like you said. You've got Crosby's line, Malkin's line, Carter's line. Even at home, I mean, how much can you do that, or is it more you almost want to match the D as opposed to the forward?
Yeah, more I would say the D, and within that we need to get to our game, which is playing with pace. I mean, they obviously play with pace. They're welcome that, but the game when you play teams like this is almost a rhythm, and if they're allowed to get into their rhythm, we're out of sync. If we can get in our rhythm, we can potentially put our opponent out of sync, and it goes a little bit with momentum swings. But So, when I say get to our game, we play similar styles, I believe. But we want to make sure the flow is with us. When we put a puck in, we're actually be able to pursue it. And if you want a visual, it would be if we put a puck in and we don't pursue it or we can't pursue it, they're going to get in a rhythm and sync up on a transition back. And so we have to break that rhythm at that point. We pulled ourselves out of a rhythm just because of a bad or a poor puck placement or a poor timing, a line change. And that's all part of, evolving your game and maturing. And we've been much better in those subtleties. So we've been able to hang on to momentum longer as a result of that, almost sequencing.
As far as Vinny goes, beyond the talent aspect, what's allowed him to come in here and mesh so well?
Work. He is beyond work, compete. Those are kind of two different things. Some guys are really competitive, but they need to be punched in the head for the competitiveness to start kick in. We can all picture players in our minds like, once a fuse hits, the guy really competes. Vinny's, like I said, a worker and a competitor because he's working all the time. He's never not working, and that has helped us in practice. Pick up the pace, the tempo in practice because we need to develop guys, or our guys need to develop, and he's really helped us there. And in game, we missed him. Again, back to Mike asking what was different. When Vinny was out of the lineup, we missed that. That guy that kind of drags others into the fight because he just plays at such a high pace. If you're his two line mates and you're not ready to play at a high pace, you're either going to hear from him or you're not going to be able to keep up. And we've had him with Krebs and Cousins. I really like his ability there to communicate with those guys. They go through ups and downs in the games, and he gives them a really good perspective. He communicates well with them, and he pushes them well. I mean, that line won us the Heritage Classic. They were incredible, and they've been solid on the road trip as well. They just haven't scored the way they did that night.
I don't know why this happens. Sometimes East Coast teams come back from the West, they have a little trouble that first game at home. How do you prevent that from happening?
Well, we had about 4 or 5 guys ask one of the coaches this morning if they had a lousy sleep last night because they did. So it's your body feeling good at 7 p.m. is what you shoot for, and we all know body chemistry every day you feel a little different. So I don't know that I would ever have an answer for what that is, those intangible elements from traveling back from the East or why that happens. But when it happens, people talk about it, so it's perpetuated, I think, maybe more so than not. Boy, we had a bad game, let's associate it with something. Well, we came back from the East Coast or from the West Coast. So, that automatically, you have a bad game and you came back on a swing from out there, you're going to associate that. So I don't know. I don't want to get into whether that would be the cause or not, but our challenge tonight is we play a great hockey team in our building, and we've played a couple of good games, and you have to reset. In our sport, it's always 0-0. You don't get to bring something from last game in, no matter how good it was, and the quicker each team recalibrates for that is the better. And again, so no answer. I just gave you a minute of babble and no answer. Sorry, Paul.
That's good coach speak.
Yeah, it was all coach speak there. Thanks, Panger.
Are you pleased with the direction during the game when you talk about puck placement, that there are certain players that make a direct play that get you back on track?
Yeah, we've had the Eakin line with Okposo and Gergensen, 3 veteran guys that really know how to do that. I mean, and I've started them the last 2 games. We had them early in the year together, the first 5 games of the year or so. Maybe it was less than that. And I think Eakin got injured, and then Zemgus got injured, and Oki might have missed a couple games. And we could never get the 3 of them back together. But now that Zemgus came back a couple games ago on the Western swing, we're able to put those 3 together, and they really do lead by example in the area you just mentioned. Their puck placements is perfect for puck pressure. You talk about those seem to be 2 things talked about, but they're linked. You can't just put pucks in and then talk about puck pressure. They have to be placed right, Correct. And the best teams do that incredibly well. They put pucks where they can pursue them. And that line is the leader for us.
You mentioned before about like line changes. Are they a line that can make the other players accountable if their line changes aren't very good?
Yeah, they're Oki is amazing on the bench. He's vocal. I've talked about Craig Anderson saying the right things. I mean, Oki says the right things at the right time and nothing more. Nothing less, nothing more. He's not rah-rah. He's just when something needs to be said, and it needs to be said. But it's more than just, he's very aware of momentum and swing. So if he feels, if there's a sense that our guys are in a little bit of a lull, the other team's picking up momentum, he feels that as well. And so does Craig. So those two guys are really good at that. And the other guy that's exceptional at that is Dahlin. He is a leader, a big-time leader in this group. He is extremely vocal and very aware of momentum and momentum shifts and swings, and he challenges his teammates as hard as anybody. He's stood up on the bench many times and leaned down and screamed down at his teammates. Doesn't that feel good to compete? Feels good to compete. And after a guy has a hard shift, or he feels we need to, guys need to go harder. So, he's emerged in more ways than just what you might see on TV or watching him. Yep.